Hello and welcome to another weekly update, and if I'm not entirely mistaken, this is the 53rd episode of weekly updates, which means I've been doing weekly updates for exactly a year, which is pretty surprising really. When we started out, I absolutely wasn't sure whether or not I'd be able to commit to doing this every week, whether I'd want to, whether I'd be able to keep doing it, but I've pulled through and managed to do that, and it's been really good. It's become almost like a habit now, and it's good because it keeps me constantly looking out for things to talk about, and I think it keeps me a bit more engaged with the community as well, because I've got a reason not to kind of slip off and ignore it for a bit, because I know every week I need to come here and tell you guys what's going on for developers in that Skype for Business, Microsoft Teams space, and Office 365 collaboration, and everything is moving so quickly. And even over the course of a year, we've seen a real shift and a change from talking predominantly about Skype for Business to now talking predominantly about Microsoft Teams. We've seen a shift in how collaboration is spoken about and how it's taking a much more pivotal role in the way Microsoft do things going forward. So all of that is really exciting, and one of the things I was worried about when I started out is that I wouldn't have enough things to talk about, and that's not been true for any week. I haven't had any weeks where I've come here and said I'm not going to do one this week because there's nothing to talk about. There's always been something happening, and that's great, and that continues into this week. So we've got some things to talk about this week, so let's get into it. So first of all, a couple of weeks ago I did a video in place of a weekly update covering my kind of top tips for Microsoft Teams. It was done as a video. If you've seen it, that's great. If you want to see it, you can go and look for it. But I never wrote it up as a blog post. I never wrote up what those tips were. And now that's happened, not by me, but by my employer, Modality Systems. I sat down with someone, and we made some notes, and we came up with a decent blog post, and that's been published. So you can go and read that. It's on Modality's website. I'll put a link in the notes below. It's the same tips. It's just a bit more information, a bit more kind of surrounding, a bit more explanation than you might have got out of the video. So that's my top tips for developers using Microsoft Teams. All right, next, the UC Inside Track podcast, Pat Richards' podcast, episode 5 went out this week, and a special guest was Jamie Stark. Now, this was a really good episode for me. I listened to this. I really enjoyed listening to it as well. So Jamie Stark works at Microsoft, and he has been in this sort of space for a long time. He spent quite a lot of time doing marketing for phone stuff and voice on Skype for Business. He's now firmly focused in on Teams, and is doing some different stuff that I don't really understand around Teams. It was a really good episode actually that Pat and Jamie did. Jamie's got a wealth of knowledge and information, but he's also really enthusiastic, and that enthusiasm comes through. There's lots of stuff Jamie couldn't talk about on Teams because stuff he's running earlier versions than we do, because obviously Microsoft run things and they dog food stuff way before we get to see it, and obviously he couldn't talk about those things, but his enthusiasm came through, and you can't NDA enthusiasm, right? So that was really good to see. It was I'm excited, by the future. I'm excited about what's happening with Teams. I'm excited about the kind of partner ecosystem in that space, and I think it's going to be a really interesting year. So it was a really good podcast to go and listen to. So I would definitely encourage you to go and download that and give it a listen if you haven't already. Okay, moving on. Microsoft Teams App Studio control library. So I covered the App Studio a couple of weeks ago in a separate little video I did, and as part of that is the control library tab, and it lists out all the all the kind of UI controls and all the UI constructs that developers can use when they're building apps for teams. Now, there's a blog post done by Microsoft, and it's on the tech community site, and it digs into some detail about those icons. They're all built in React, which I thought was interesting. Very new Microsoft, right? Very kind of open source first, very non-proprietary, but it's not tied to a particular framework. It's just that's where they built them. It uses the React UI framework, and then there's a bunch of information where they say, well, if you're not into React but you want to try it out, here are all the things you can do. So gives you all the instructions and all the commands to create a React app and to install the control library, to see all the assets, to download them all and to run them, and then goes into some more detail about things like themes changing, and adding in your own bits and pieces as well. So nice, really nice blog post, nice level of detail. Again, for me it's exciting because it just underlines that new Microsoft, committed to open source, committed to doing things on the platform that is where everyone's at, not necessarily the platform where Microsoft want everyone to be at, recognizing that people do use different things. So that was exciting, that was cool. Okay, what's next? So if you are in London, or you can get to London, and you can get to London for March the 6th to the 8th, then this is for you. It's a developer event, and it's focused in on enterprise and business applications and building those with Azure and Office 365. So it is a 68, so I guess it's a 3-day workshop with Microsoft, where they will help you to build business apps. So they will help you with things like bots, Azure Functions, Event Grid, Logic Apps, Microsoft Graph, and Office 365. They call it a 3 days of immersive, structured, hands-on hacking. Now, I've been to a couple of these before. They're brilliant. They're really good. Basically, there'll be you and your little team of people, whatever that is, 2, 3, 5, whatever. And you know that you know what you want to build. It's for your company, your domain problem, your space, but you don't necessarily know how to do it. You've never done it before. So maybe you want to build a bot for something. Maybe you want to use some AI. You want to harness the power of the Graph API and get some information out of 365 and deliver a service. Whatever it is, you turn up with your ideas. And normally you're all in a big room, and I'll come to the room in a minute, but come in a big room, everyone's sort of split up in their little teams. There's normally a couple of presentations to kick things off, but then there's time dedicated for you to work on your solution whilst experts in these fields wander around and help you freely. It's a really good place to get stuff done. So thoroughly recommend it. It's great because you really don't get blocked on anything, because every time you get stuck on something, you can literally stick up your hand, you can wander over and find an expert who knows, and they know because they are from Microsoft, they're from the product group. They often fly people over who are the domain level experts. And the great thing is, if they don't know, they're Microsofties, right? They have the global address list. They will go and find out the answer. They know who the right people to ping are, and they have them on Teams, so they will fire them up, they will get answers for you. So you really don't get blocked. It's a really kind of high intensity, high productive couple of days. So yeah, thoroughly recommend it. It's completely free. You just need to register. Food will be provided, refreshments, everything like that will be provided. You bring your own laptop, that's it. There's no reason not to go. The other reason to go is it's the first event that I know of that's being held at it's not the first event, it's the first event that I've come across that's being held at the Microsoft Reactor. Now that's a new space in London that Microsoft have bought and are making available for events like this. Really close to Liverpool Street. It's in Shoreditch. It's I don't know, I've not been there yet, but everything I've heard from people is that it's amazing. It's a really nice kind of co-working, modern collaboration space. I'm really glad Microsoft have this as a space now. The idea is for user groups to use, but also Microsoft to use. They're using it for this OpenHack, so should be brilliant. Should be really good. So I'm not going to be able to make it. Unfortunately, I'm going to be away. I'm going to be at the MVP Summit which is the same week. So I'm not going to be able to make it, which is annoying. But I'm also super excited about MVP Summit. So you win some, you lose some, right? So, but yeah, if you're able to make it, it is definitely worth going to. All right, and lastly, I just want to call your attention to a 3-part series that dives deep into LUIS, the Language Understanding Intelligence Service, and how you can extend the way that recognizers work and how you can do that to support new languages. So recognizers are part of LUIS. Obviously, they're the part that pick up the language and the words that are spoken. If you are running into problems where LUIS doesn't understand your language or your problem domain in enough detail, you can change it. It's all open source. You can build out your own support, and there's a really good 3-part guide. The first part goes into definition of the language specification. And the second part is all about implementing some special extractors and parsers, and then the third part, which has just come out, is all about testing those and parsing to verify that your new language patterns work, refining it and continually and repeating it so that the system kind of learns and picks up some nuances and variations. So it's pretty hardcore, pretty deep. But if that is a problem you're facing, then the good news is that there is a answer ready for you. All right, so that is everything I wanted to talk about this week. Lots and lots going on, as you can tell, and yeah, good 53rd episode, good anniversary of a year. So thanks very much for watching. Thank you, especially if you've watched or listened on YouTube or on the podcast over the course of the last year. It's great to know that this is useful. Any feedback, any suggestions for change of format, anything like that, just ping me on Twitter's probably easiest, or just leave comments under the videos. And yeah, so keen to make this as useful as possible. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again next week.